Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to show you guys on how to hook up the pods on the A-pillar. So yeah, so enjoy and stay tuned. Yeah, so I'm going to show you guys on how to hook up the gauge pod A-pillar to your OEM stock A-pillar. This will probably be like a 3 or 4 part video or series or whatever. First series will be hooking up the pods to the A-pillar and running the wires through all this, through all the A-pillars. The second video will probably be how to hook up the air-fuel ratio. Of course, the third part will be how to hook up the oil pressure gauge. And then the last part, of course, will be the boost gauge. Gotta wait on that one because I don't have the turbo right now, and I still gotta get a couple of other parts like a vacuum block and some lines and stuff like that. So we'll start with the first part, and the first part is hooking up the A-pillar gauge pods to your A-pillar. So let's get into it. I am by far not a professional at this. This is actually my first time doing this, but going to YouTube Academy, checking out what everybody else is doing. Looks pretty straightforward, don't look too hard. So I'm gonna try to give the best I can on what I've seen, and we'll go from there. All right, the first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna go ahead and take the A-pillar off the car. Pretty easy. Just kind of squeeze it like that, and then it pops off. It has 2 clips, basically a clip here and a clip here, and it pops off. First thing, you're gonna take that off, bring it inside or wherever you're working, and then now for the gauge pods, they're already in. Now when I got it, they did have, they wouldn't go in, so I had to take a little bit of sandpaper and sand the inside of it just a little bit, and these things slide in, so they're pretty snug right now. On the back, if you look, they don't have the clips like that one does. That one has it right there. For some reason, they would not go in. Could not get them in there to squeeze, but mine are pretty snug and they don't move for shit. So I'm just gonna roll with it like that. So the first thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and put this on here, put some tape on it so it sticks together, so it's, sticks together pretty good. And then I'm gonna go ahead and drill 4 holes in the corner, and then I'm gonna end up putting these pins, once I'm done, popping them in. So that's how the A-pillar attaches to the OEM pillar. I have not test fitted it. Maybe I'll go out there and check real quick, see if it's test fitted. But as of right now, it looks pretty damn good. So I might just roll with it and see what happens. But yeah, so my next step is right now is to tape it down so it's nice and tight, so don't move around, and then drill the 4 holes. Okay. Don't want to put the pins in yet. You just want to get the holes where you want to go. And then the next thing you're probably going to have to do is put a hole down here. Let's see. So you're going to use this hole to basically run all your pod wires through that one single hole and down the A-pillar, and then eventually it's going to run on the side of your dash or under your dash and underneath your dash. So I'm going to figure out where I'm going to put my hole for all my wires are going to run through. You're basically going to use a step bit. Let me see how this lines up. So basically, if you look at it, that's kind of what it looks like. Probably gonna, the wires are gonna run here, here, here. They're gonna run down. So I'm probably gonna put the hole for all the wires to run through somewhere around in this area, give or take, probably around here, so that when they all run down the A-pillar, they'll run here and then they'll drop through here, if that makes any sense. So let me go ahead and do that, tape all this stuff together, and then we'll go from there. I will leave links in the description of where I got the A-pillar gauge pod and where I got my pods. Of course, everything will be down in the description of where all the links are, where all the parts I got. All right, so I got it taped up so don't slide around, but how I have my pod set up, I have my oil pressure on top, boost in the middle, AFR on the bottom. Up to you guys on how you guys want to set your gauges up. A lot of people go AFR up top, boost, and then oil, but I'm doing it this way, so that's up to you. So I got it taped down right now, so it's not going to slide around. I'm going to go ahead and drill a hole here, and probably drill a hole right here, and then probably drill a hole right here, and then drill a hole probably right here on this flat surface, and then maybe one more up here because it comes with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. And I'm gonna go ahead and drill those holes, and then go ahead and pop these pins in. Or I'm not gonna pop these pins in yet, but I'm gonna go ahead and get these holes drilled, get it prepped, and then figure out where I'm gonna drill the big hole for the all the wires to run through. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and then we'll jump back in this video. The drill bit you're gonna need to match up the little pins, push pins, whatever. The drill bit you're gonna need is a, where is it, right? I think it's a 3/16. Yep, 3/16 drill to drill these holes. That way these pins, when they push them in, they're nice and snug. So 3/16 drill bit. So I'm gonna go ahead and start doing that. Got the holes drilled. I already went into the RSX and test fitted it, and it fits. It's a really tight fit, but it fits good. These holes where I went is good. This one that I drilled out right there is good. Now note to yourself, when you do the bottom ones, the ones that go down by the dash, you kind of want to stay up off the bottom a little bit, like that. And the reason is because this piece right here, as you can see the marks on it, it slides into the dash a little bit. So, you know, keep that in mind, that when you're sliding this in, you want to give yourself a little bit of leeway. But I did a lot, but it don't matter. But, you know, just note to self that you have at least, what is that, 1/4 inch of space right here that it will slide into the dash part. I did notice when I had this one, I mean, I'll go out to the car right now and show you guys, but that was a pretty good spot to do it. So let's go check it out. I'll give you an example. That's where it's at. That's where the hole's at right there for that one. That's where the hole's at for that one. That's where the hole is for the bottom one over there, and that's where the hole is for that one. So you can go down a little bit more if you wanted to. It don't really matter because those pins are black, so they're going to blend in, so you're not going to really see them. But yep, that's just to give you the idea of where I drilled mine and where they sit at on your A-pillar. So the next thing I'm going to do is take out all the wiring and see how much wire I have to deal with and how big of a hole I'm going to need to go through for all the wiring. Note to self, I mean, if you're only doing 2 gauges, which is the AFR and what's the other one, oil pressure, the connectors are different, but when you run the oil pressure and the boost gauge, your connectors on your wires are going to be the same. Good thing is to probably mark it and write whatever it is. Like for instance, this one is AFR, so I'm going to go ahead and put some tape on this and put AFR on it. That way I don't get it mixed up with the oil pressure, because let's check it out right now. This oil pressure, yeah, that one's boost, so this one should be the oil pressure. So if you look at the connectors, that's what I gather. I haven't really looked at it yet, but that's what from what I heard, that the connectors are the same. Let's go ahead and check that out. Yep. So the connectors aren't the same, so I don't think you can get it mixed up. Shit, I just gotta mix them up right now. Okay, yeah, so never mind. So the boost. So if you're hooking up boost and the AFR, keep in mind that these connectors look the same, and you don't want to mix them up. So make sure that you mark on which one is which with some tape, because you don't want to hook up the AFR connector to the boost connector, because I think let's see, this one is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pin, and I think this one has less or more. Maybe not. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pin. Anyways, just don't get them mixed up. That's what I would do. So yeah, go ahead and put some tape on that. So I'm gonna go ahead and Let me see if I can find a tripod or something so I can hook this up and show you guys how to plug all these in and stuff like that, and all the wires, and then we'll go from there. I can't find my tripod, so I'm going to try to do this the best I can. I'm basically going to start from top and work my way down, and then see how much I have wires going through, and then we will put the hole in the OEM A-pillar. So let's go ahead. What are we doing with? We are doing with oil pressure. I just noticed. Oh, that's not. I thought it was upside down. I'm retarded. Anyways, so we'll go ahead and start with the oil pressure. I went ahead and marked it. Can't see, but it says oil, so I don't get it mixed up. So it's pretty simple. You got the connector right here. It basically plugs in right there. So that's pretty much it. That's all you gotta do. Plug and play for that part. For the AFR, default settings comes with the AFR reading. You are able to click the settings in the back to make it, what is it, Lambada or something like that, Lambo or whatever, Lamba. So go up, double check that and make sure it's connected to the AFR default setting and not all the other stuff. There's like 3 settings or something. So go ahead and make sure you do that. I already did that. It should be AFR, because once you get this on, it's probably gonna be a pain in the ass once these pins go in, and you probably don't want to take that off just to switch that little switch. So it's in the back of the pod. There's a little dial thing back there. Go ahead and look at your instructions on how to do that, but from what I gathered, default setting is AFR. All right, so pretty much you're gonna plug this in to the back of the gauge. Pretty simple. So I'll go ahead and do that right now. So there you go. It's plugged in. Pretty simple. Just plug it in. Now I'm gonna take these 2 wires. Eventually when you get all this stuff running down this pillar, you could probably tape it together. That way it all stays together as one piece. So I'm gonna move on to the next gauge, which is going to be the boost gauge. I think it's boost. Yep, boost gauge. So I'll go ahead and plug in that connector. These kits do come with what are those called? Butt connectors. They do come with the silver and the black plate. Of course, I went black with white. And like I said before, this, I tried to get it in there. It don't go in. But like I said, if you sand, when you go to sand it, it's a really tight fit. I had to push a little bit, force on it, not force, but push on it to get it to slide in, and it won't budge. So I'm not worried about that. And if it happens to pop out later in the future, then I will go plan B and try to figure out how to keep that in. Moving on to the next one, boost gauge. Two, so you got a sensor for your oil pressure and you have a sensor for your boost. Don't get those mixed up. Once I jump into the how to hook up the oil pressure sensor, I will tell you what adapter you need to have this to hook up so you can read the oil pressure. Right now I have it coming in from KSP, should be here in the next couple days. So hopefully I can drop that video pretty quick. My plan is to have at least the AFR and the oil pressure hooked up. And then when the turbo comes in, of course, I'll hook the boost up. So I'm going to go ahead and write oil pressure on this. That way there's no mix-ups. And then I'll go ahead and hook up the boost. So the boost. So let's go ahead and let me do this real quick, and then I'll come back and tell you about the boost one. So I'm going to go ahead and mark the oil, and I'm going to put the oil one back into the oil box for later. All right, moving on to the boost. So the boost, like I said, has the same connector, this part right here, as your oil and your oil pressure and your boost wires have the same connector. So like I said, don't get those mixed up. Go ahead and mark them with tape, like I already did. And then it comes with the sensor right here, which I think plugs into, I mean, I'm not 100% sure, but I think it plugs into the vacuum block to get your reading for your air pressure. And then it comes with a vacuum line and, of course, silver and black face. So, of course, I'm not going to use that. I'll go ahead and drop this back into the boost box, and then we'll go ahead and drop this back in the boost box. Don't need that. And I'll just gonna go ahead and hook up the connector. All right, so I'll go ahead and plug that into the back of the gauge, and then we'll move on to the next one. All right, boost is plugged in. Again, I went ahead and marked it boost and marked that one oil. Now moving on to the next one, which is the AFR. Alright, so your AFR comes with your wideband O2 sensor, your harness that connects from the O2 sensor under the car and comes up into the back of the gauge to give you your reading to your gauge, your AFR reading. And then the other harness is just your power harness to give you the power to the gauge. So, and on the back of the pod or the gauge, it is there for 2 connectors. Basically, you can hook up this 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 pin and 4 pin into the back of that gauge. Pretty easy. So I'll go ahead and put that back in the box, and then just hook up these 2. And that should be it for hooking up the last pod. Alright, so the last gauge is hooked up. As you can tell, it's got both of those connectors in there. Alright, so moving on. So I'm going to go ahead and get all these wires, get them put together, and find out where I'm going to drill my hole, step bit the hole for the A-pillar, the OEM. So I'm going to get everything bundled up, wrapped up together, so it's not all just hanging there. And then I will figure out where I am going to put the hole for all the shit to run through. Alright, so I got everything somewhat of how I'm going to go. I'll definitely go back and put some electrical tape and wrap this all up nice. Make it all nice and pretty inside of here. So, when you're said and done and you got all the wires that need to go through a hole, you're looking about, about that much wiring that needs to be fed through a hole. So you're talking about, a good size hole that it needs to go in. Let me see, where's my step bit? Shoo, step bit. So when you're looking at the bigger step bit, you're going to do a pretty big hole. You're probably going to go all the way to the max on the step bit, which is going to be, let's see, what's the max size? 1 3/8. So that's the max size on this step bit, 1 3/8. I'm probably going to just go all the way, the big hole, because it's quite a bit of wiring. You want it to be in there pretty nice. So I'm gonna go ahead and tape all this up, and then I will jump back and show you where I'm going to put the hole to run all this wire through. Another thing is, you just want to tape up what's going to be in the A-pillar, and then once it goes past the A-pillar, you don't want to put no more tape on. Well, for now, you don't want to put no more tape on, because you're going to have to run stuff, to some area and stuff to another area, like your O2 sensor, your AFR one's going to run all the way underneath the car. So just underneath your A-pillar, just tape it up nice to where your hole, right past your hole a little bit, tape it up nice, and then the rest you can leave dangling, or I'm going to leave dangling until I get knowing where I'm going to put it all. Alright, so let's do this. Well, I got the hole drilled. Went down to, on the step bit, went to 1 1/4, which basically is one lower than the max. Basically, all you're trying to do is make sure that the biggest plug, hold on 1 second, the biggest plug, which is this plug, which goes to the AFR, can fit through there. After that, it can fit through there. After that, everything else should go through. So now I am going to feed all the wires through here, and then we're going to go ahead and, I think that's after I feed all the wires through here, I'm going to go ahead and button this up to the OEM A-pillar. So let me go ahead and feed those through. As you can see, I didn't go too crazy, just taped up this part, taped these 2 together, taped these 3 together, put a little bit of tape here. Basically all I did. Alright, so let me go ahead and feed these through here, and then I'll show you guys. So I do this so that I can fuck up and you guys don't have to. So this hole right here is not going to work. And for the reason why it's not going to work is because of the shallowness of this part of the A-pillar. So I got everything sitting right here, and if you look at the shallowness of this lip right here, when you go to put this on the back side of it, it wants to push the pod A-pillar up. So basically what you need to do is you got to make this hole up higher to where you start to see it let's see if I can do this, where you start to see the groove right there. See how it's like grooved out right here? That's kind of where you want to do it, because then you have all this lip right here for this thick ass wire to sit in. So that's what you want. So definitely want to come up a little bit higher up this way, because like I said, it's not enough clearance when this sits on top of this to come out right here because the wires are thick. So I'm going to go ahead and bump it up a little bit more into the region of this area where it starts to round out, and then just drop the wires through that way. All right, so there you go. Learn from my fuck ups and go up higher. All right, so I do this so that I can fuck up and you guys don't have to. So this hole right here is not going to work, and for the reason why it's not going to work is because of the shallowness of this part of the A pillar. So I got everything sitting right here, and if you look at the shallowness of this lip right here, when you go to put this on the back side of it, it wants to push the pod A pillar up. So basically what you need to do is you got to make this hole up higher to where you start to see it let's see if I can do this, where you start to see the groove right there. See how it's like grooved out right here? That's kind of where you want to do it, because then you have all this lip right here for this thick ass wire to sit in. So that's what you want. So definitely want to come up a little bit higher up this way, because like I said, it's not enough clearance when this sits on top of this to come out right here because the wires are thick. So I'm going to go ahead and bump it up a little bit more into the region of this area where it starts to round out, and then just drop the wires through that way. All right, so there you go. Learn from my fuck ups and go up higher. All right, so there it is. It's perfect. There's the hole. Can't really see. Sorry about the lighting. So that second hole that I did is the better location, because you can tell it's not trying to push this the gauge A pillar pod up. So yep, so don't do the first hole, do the second hole. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and match this up and then pop these push pins in the holes they need to go to, and I think that might wrap this up. All right, let me pop those in and come back to you guys. So it's on. So as you can see, the tabs are in. And that one right there, and those two right there. So they blend in pretty good. As you can tell, it's pretty much a exact fit. You know, you got a little bit of lip here, down here. Pretty much a nice exact fit. This corner, it's not exact fit, but it does slide in. So yeah, so there it is. Go ahead and hold it up for a minute. So, oh shit. So we got all the wires coming out of the hole right there. There it is. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple. So I think I'm gonna go outside and test fit it one more time. I'll take you guys with me. And then that'll conclude this video. This is just part one of hooking the A pillar pod gauge or pod gauge 8 pillar to your OEM pillar. Next video we will jump into the, let me think, AFR. We'll hook up the AFR to the whatever, hook the AFR one up. So I'll show you guys how to run the AFR. So yeah, that's pretty much it for how to hook up the A pillar stuff. Pretty straightforward, pretty easy, pretty simple. I will probably go ahead and tape this up a little bit more. Maybe not. Depend on. Actually, I won't, because I know you gotta slide it through an area. So we'll go ahead and leave that for the next video. So I'm gonna go ahead and go to the car right now and check the fitment, and I will bring you guys to see that. And then after that, that should conclude this video. Pretty simple, pretty easy. Alright, so there it is. It's in there pretty good. It's a little bit, I gotta wiggle it in up here, but it's pretty much on there, and it's on pretty good. As you can see, the wires will eventually drop down this little area right here, but we'll get into that more when we start hooking up each individual gauge. I'm going to take the gauges and spin them a little bit, because it got kind of a cocked turn to it. So I'll go ahead and fix that later. But yeah, all in all, perfect fit, nice and tight. When you're going to put this back in, you kind of want to go down, get the bottom in, and then you kind of want to roll it. You kind of want to roll it into the window part area, and then that'll get you where you need to be. So you're going to slide it down, push in, and then roll it. So down, push in, and then roll the whole unit like that. Roll it, and then it'll go where it needs to go. Like I said, I just gotta button this part up here. Other than that, it's good. And then we'll jump into the next video and explain all this bullshit. There they are. Pretty good. I like it. I like it a lot. So, like I said, I just need to fix those so I ain't looking like that the whole time. But other than that, love it. Good fit. I will leave, like I said, I'll leave in the description where I bought this. It's a pretty good fitment. Not bad at all. Had to do a little bit of sanding for the pods. I mean, like minimal, very late, you know, just, you know, do a little bit quick sanding, and that was it. And they slid in, and they're fucking tight as fuck without the back brackets being on. So yeah. All right, so part 1 of the gauge pod hookup, whatever, is done. That completes that. Stay tuned for the next video. It'll probably most likely be the AFR or the oil pressure, one of those. Basically, each gauge I'm going to break down an individual video so they don't get lost inside one video. I'm not the only one that does this. You can go back and check Surge's videos. I think DeMoss even has some videos. There's a lot of videos out there on how to do all these gauges. That's basically how I learned from other people's videos. And I thought I would just put my little taste into it and drop it onto my channel too. So yeah, so that concludes this. Stay tuned for part 2. And like, subscribe, and KL Day, and I'll catch you on the next one.